הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבר אחים גם יד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבר אחים גם יד. הנה מה טוב, שבר אחים גם יד. הנה מה טוב, שבר אחים גם יד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבר אחים גם יד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבר אחים גם יד. הנה מה טוב, שבר אחים גם יד. הנה מה טוב, שבר אחים גם יד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבר אחים גם יד. הנה מה טוב ומנעים, שבר אחים גם יד.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Good Shabbos and good to see you. Welcome. I am going to be leading services tonight, obviously, with Shane Soldinger. Gordon is away, and I think he's been gone a week already on a 3-week music gig through Colorado and Arizona and God knows where else. But Shane has been great, and I'm really looking forward to leading services with you again. Thank you. And I saw Shane perform at the Fink just a few days ago. So I get to see you do secular music and spiritual music. And we'll see which one you do better.
I have a feeling.
Yeah. In addition to welcoming all of you back to CBS, I want to offer a special welcome to my mom and dad, Mel and Lois Goldstein, who have been visiting this week. I'm sorry that the weather hasn't been better. We all know that we need the rain here, but we've had moments of sunshine, so hopefully you've had a good visit and we'll get a little more sun over the next few days while you're still here. As some of you know, this Shabbat, according to a very wonderful organization called HIAS, the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, which has been around since the 1900s, the 1800s, organized a few years a national refugee awareness Shabbat. So our congregation, along with dozens and dozens, maybe scores of other congregations in North America, is going to be talking about migrants, refugees, immigrants in some way, shape, or form through music, through teaching. We'll be doing a little teaching about the subject later on. And it's a subject that continues to be pressing, maybe now more than ever before, with refugees all over the world, in Syria, in Ukraine, in Gaza now, in a multitude of places, Central America. It's an issue that continues to be on our minds and that we continue to struggle with. So I wanted to read a piece that HIAS put out about the subject that I think is very good on this Refugee Shabbat 2024. The Torah portion for this week is called Yitro, or Jethro, and it contains the revelation at Mount Sinai, the giving of the Ten Commandments and the Jewish traditions on Mount Sinai. And this piece, this poem, tries to capture the idea of the truths that are involved in terms of refugees and migrants and how we should deal with them in our world. We are commanded not to worship idols, not to put anything before God, not the golden calf of easy answers, and not the hewn pillars of our own self-righteousness. The idols that can pull us away from our truest selves are fears and fantasies, worst-case scenarios and delusions of grandeur. These idols have the power to inhibit our ability to imagine different and better futures, to open our hearts to other people, to trust in our own strength and the strengths of our communities. This idolatry is the most tempting when we are sad, scared, and angry, or when the world feels overwhelming and we want to give in to despair. It is at those moments that our practices of rest and reflection gratitude and generosity, justice and joy can remind us of who we truly are and reground us in the work we are here to do. On this Refugee Shabbat, we commit to setting aside our idols. On this Refugee Shabbat, we commit to creating a world of justice. On this Refugee Shabbat, we commit to creating a world of compassion. And on this Refugee Shabbat, we commit to creating a world of welcome. So on that note of welcome, let's welcome Shabbat, and I'd like to invite Donna Mendelson to come up. We're set up in a more intimate arrangement tonight, and we have a show tomorrow morning, so we're not going to go up to the bima. So Donna, if you would just come up here. You can follow the Shabbat candle blessing on page 120. Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
I just wanted to say something. It's very ironic that tonight is HIAS Shabbat because HIAS settled my mother's family when they first came from Russia many years ago, and they've never forgotten how wonderful they were. So it's really a wonderful organization.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. When I lived in New York, I did a lot of work with HIAS, and they've been settling not just Jews, but all sorts of people who've been coming to the United States at least since, I think, the mid or late 19th century.
Yes. Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, it's called now, and Kate's brother.
Oh, that's right. Katie's brother-in-law is the executive director. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, let's keep all of that in mind. Oh, I think my mom wants to add something.
Niles, do you remember that your grandfather at the age between 17 and 18 walked across Europe during the HIAS, where they actually had places for them to sleep overnight?
So HIAS helped arrange for Grandpa Leo to make it through Europe and eventually to Ellis Island and then Milwaukee?
He had a cousin that was a sponsor, but he walked across Europe by himself.
I did know that story. Yeah. Quite an adventure that Grandpa Leo had. Thank you. Okay, we're going to continue with the singing of Shalom Aleichem on page 142.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bo Hashem HaShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seek him l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech malachei halachim hakadosh baruch hu.
The Chatzi Kaddish is on page 144. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah Be'alma divrach erotei v'yamlik malkutei B'chayechon v'yomechon U'chayedecho Beit Yisrael Bagala Bagala Uvizman Kariv Vimeru Amen Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mevorach Le'alam Ulal Me'al Maya Yitbarak V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitramam V'yitnaseh V'yitadar V'yitalev V'yitalal Shmei Dekudsha B'richu Leila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nekemata damiran be'alma v'miru. Amen. Our call to worship the Baruch Hu is on page 146. If you're able, please rise.
Getting caught up in the wires here. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La la la. Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamevora Baruch Le'olam Va'ed Hamevora Hamevora Le'olam Va'ed Hamevora Hamevora Le'olam Va'ed.
Page 149, please join me in the English at the top of the page. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars, creator of the tide of time and light. You guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. Page 151. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malechuto Leolam Va'ed.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha ובכל נפשך, ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה, אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ושוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Amen. Page 157. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. Page 158. Just a word before Shane leads us in Micha Mocha. The Torah portion, as I said earlier, for this Shabbat is Yitro, which really in some ways represents the beginning of the 40-year journey of the Jewish people, migrants, refugees from Egypt, as they make their way back to the Promised Land. When they eventually get there, they celebrate and there's great joy. But even leaving Egypt is cause for celebration. So on their journey, when they pass the Sea of Reeds, they sing this song to celebrate the continuation of their journey. And my mom brought up my grandfather, Leo, who fled through Ukraine and Europe and eventually made it to Ellis Island. Anyone know if they have relatives, just by a show of hands, who made it to Ellis Island or to Galveston or one of the other ports of entry? I mean, that's like 2/3 of the room. That's a lot of people. And I don't know about Galveston, but I know that the story is when people would come to Ellis Island and see the Statue of Liberty from the boat, you know, I don't know if they would sing Micha Mocha, but they were awfully excited and awfully happy, and it was really a cause for celebration. So with that in mind, let's sing Micha Mocha and think about not only our journeys, but the journeys of all those people trying to make for themselves a better life.
מי כמוך באלי אדוני, מי כמוך נדבו קודש, מי כמוך באלי אדוני, מי כמוך נדבו קודש. נורא תהי לו עושה פלא, נורא תהי לו עושה פלא, אדוני לעולם לעולם ועד. מי כמוך באלי אדוני, מי כמוך נדבו קודש, מי כמוך באלי אדוני, מי כמוך נדבו קודש.
Please join me at the top of page 161. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom, aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשם Shalom, Shalom. V'amidenu shamrenu l'chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlamecha, Ufros aleinu sukat shlamecha. Amen. Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Shalom, Shalom. V'amidenu shamrenu l'chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlamecha, Ufros aleinu sukat shlamecha. Amen. Shelter us beneath your wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with the morning light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. 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 Amen, amen, amen.
The Amidah is on page 164. Again, if you're able, please rise. Adonai, sifatai tiftachu fi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov. Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Velohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibur v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, V'Mevi Gula Livnei V'neihem, L'man Shmo Be'ahava. Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibur le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atah Rav Lo'Oshia. Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem. Mechalkel chaim bechesed. Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim. Somech noflim verofech olim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato lishenei afar. Micha mocha ba'al gevurot, umido melech, melech memit umechayeh, umatzmiach Yeshua. V'ne'eman atah l'chayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, v'kadoshim b'chol yom yalalucha selam. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tisi Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tisi Leolam. Ki atahu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tisi Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tisi Leolam. V'tov b'necha laveret et amcha Yisrael v'chol edu erosha bishlomecha. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tisi Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tisi Leolam. Tisi Leolam. Tisi Leolam. Tisi Leolam.
At this point in our service, we think of those in need of healing on this Shabbat, this Refugee Shabbat, healing of body, healing of spirit, and healing of heart. And we ask God to bestow the bracha, the blessing of refuah shlema, full and complete healing on the following men and women from our community or those known and loved by our community: Ilana Massey, Kevin Brackett, Michelle Camisia, Joshua Hyman, Jesse Friedman, Jim Mates, Brenda Flood, Sharon Blevis, Jerry Mautner, Kirk Whitlatch, David Rabb, Jensen Beach, Aaron Ledden, Geraldine Kokich, Rachel Sadek, Blake Battles, Michaela Cohen, Diane Rado Persile, Rudolfo Gonzalez, Tracy Adams, Joan Wilmert, and Kim Stevens. And if anyone has a name of someone they wish to add to our list, I invite you to please do so. The Misha Berach is on page 511.
Misha Berach Avotenu Mekol HaBracha Limotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishe Berach Imotenu Mekol HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Shabbat Shalom again. Good Shabbos. So in the spirit of Refugee Shabbat, and thanks to HIAS for all of their work, I want to talk a little bit about refugees and asylum seekers through the lens of Judaism. We all know that there is a crisis at our border. There's a crisis all over the world. And governments need to figure out effective policies and humane policies to deal with this crisis. I certainly don't have any answers of my own. But we know that Judaism states very clearly that we are supposed to love the stranger as ourselves, and we're supposed to welcome the strangers among us. And I want to share with you three passages, one from the Bible, from the Torah, one from the Talmud, and one from Rabbi Jonathan Sacks, who is more contemporary, and who was the chief rabbi of the UK up until he passed away a few years ago. And we just did, our rabbinic intern, Art Grant, just led a session that a few of you attended on Rabbi Sacks a little while ago. So the first one goes back 2,500 years, maybe even as much as 3,000 years. It's from the book of Leviticus, and it reads as follows. Some of you may have heard of this before. The stranger who resides with you shall be to you as one of your citizens. You shall love him or her as yourself, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. I am Adonai your God. So this verse comes up over and over again in the Hebrew Bible, most famously here in the book of Leviticus, and it tells us to love the stranger, not like the stranger, not tolerate the stranger, but to love the stranger, because we ourselves were strangers in a strange land, in the land of Egypt. And I think what it's trying to teach us here is empathy, the importance of empathy and compassion in the Jewish tradition toward those who are not from where we're from. If you jump ahead several centuries to the Talmudic period, and now we're going back maybe 1,500 years ago, so still a long ways, but not as old as the first passage, we hear another passage that echoes this theme. And it says, this from a tractate named Baba Metzia from the Babylonian Talmud, and it says, why did the Torah call our attention in 36 places about the stranger, about the ger in Hebrew? And then it answers that rhetorical question, because their nature is precarious. Now, the rabbis came up with the number 613 to represent all of the commandments in the Torah, and they distilled 613 of them. According to the Talmud, there are 36 places, not 1, not 10, not 20, but 36 times that the Torah tells us how to interact with the ger, with the stranger, with the refugee, with the migrant. And it says, why is it reinforced so many times? And at least according to the Talmud, according to the rabbis, it's because their nature is precarious. They're vulnerable. And we must not ignore their plight if we're to live up to our moral aspirations as Jewish people. So the first text from the Bible is about empathy. The second text from the rabbis is about protecting those who are more vulnerable than us. And Rabbi Sacks goes a little further, and he wrote this not too long ago in a book called Faith in the Future, and he takes a slightly different angle on why we should be so sympathetic, so empathetic toward the refugee, toward the immigrant, toward the stranger. And he says, the Hebrew Bible contains the great command, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. And we read that in the beginning. And this has often been taken as the basis of biblical morality. But it is not. It is only part of it. The Jewish sages noted that on only one occasion does the Hebrew Bible command us to love our neighbor. But in 36 places, echoing the Talmud, it commands us to love the stranger. So only once does it tell us to love our neighbor. But 36 times it tells us to love the stranger. And he tries to understand why is that the case. And what Rabbi Sachs says is the following. Our neighbor is one we love because he or she is like us. He or she is like ourselves. The stranger is one who we are taught to love precisely because he is not like ourselves. So what Rabbi Sachs is trying to say here, I think, is that the stranger is the other. The stranger is not a neighbor. The stranger is not someone we're familiar with. The stranger is not someone we know on an intimate level in the way that we know a neighbor. And that's not easy. How do you love someone who is other? How do you love someone you don't really know? How do you love someone that is not familiar to you, that doesn't speak the same language, doesn't eat the same food, doesn't dress the same way that you dress? And that's not easy. But I think what Rabbi Sachs is trying to say, echoing what the rabbis said in the Talmud, by reminding us not once, not twice, but 36 times to love the stranger, it acknowledges that it's not easy. So it needs to tell us over and over and over again to love the stranger. Because it's not easy. It doesn't come naturally to us the way it might come to us in terms of loving our neighbor. So the question I want us to spend a few minutes talking about tonight, and I have a mic here so that people at home can hear us as well, is a question that HIAS presents. How much weight should be given to the rationale that we should love the stranger as we love ourselves because we were strangers in the land of Egypt? How significant is the historical, lived, even genetic experience of being a refugee as a rationale for assisting refugees today? I think that's our challenge, and that's also our obligation. I mean, 2/3 of this room, or maybe even 3/4 of this room, raised their hands when I asked if anyone had relatives or family members who came through Ellis Island or Galveston or any other point of entry. Grandparents, parents, great-grandparents, and a lot of us do. But why is it that being a stranger in a strange land, why is it that historically we were strangers in the land of Egypt? Why should that make us any more sensitive or attuned to taking care of migrants, to taking care of refugees? Why should that help us in terms of how we relate to people coming to our land? Anyone want to offer some insights? Or share anything personal about this experience? Yes, Harriet. Would you pass this back to Harriet? And just speak right into the microphone.
Maybe because we've had to move ourselves so many times, whether from Palestine to Spain to wherever. I have relatives in Africa because they had to move when Hitler came to power, for instance. My own parents were refugees, so I think it's affected many people. We know what it's like. We've been there. And right now, the future is not that certain for anybody, really.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that's a great point. I mean, as Jews, even if it wasn't us directly in this room, we as a people have been there. We have been strangers in a strange land. We talk about it every Passover in the Haggadah during the Seder. So we remind ourselves maybe more than 36 times that we were strangers in a strange land, and we know how difficult it is to uproot and move around, and the importance of resilience, and also the importance of taking care of others. Other thoughts about why, as Jews, we should be particularly sensitive and thoughtful about how to handle refugees or migrants or new immigrants? Yeah.
I think that it comes down to, in Judaism, we try to see the best part of everybody. And when you're a stranger in a new country, you don't know their customs, and you're really at a loss. And if we don't help the strangers, we don't know that we won't be the next strangers out there. And, it's almost like Christianity and a little bit of Judaism. It's a golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And I think that this whole thing between the migrants around the world and what's going on at the border is so painful to watch, because we all want to do something, because there's a humankind, there's a piece of all of us that have a heart that feel that we want to put our hand out and help the stranger. Unfortunately, not enough people do.
Thank you. And what a message I think it sends that an organization like the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, a Jewish organization, as I said, that goes back, I don't know, Katie, you may know exactly when, but I think to the mid or late 1800s, which originally was focused on bringing in, I guess my grandfather too, bringing in Jews to North America to help them out, now helps so many other kinds of people who are not Jewish at all. But because of the Jewish mandate to love the stranger and to welcome the stranger and to protect the most vulnerable. Yes?
So I think, having assisted refugees in part, and even before now, just Latinos in the community, it's like we could, the thought and look at our practices and traditions as Jews, we can feel connected in our heart. But when we do these singing and breathing, and you just have someone before you, you could feel profound connection. That's not even the heart and the head. And sometimes it comes up singing with people or eating foods together. One of the things that's been really profound for me in spending time in Ukraine with such a complicated history for Jewish people, knowing that part of ancestry is from there, is recognizing the similarity of the foods and blintzes. And so things are not always what we think. There's the mystery, right? This is a Kabbalah service. There's a whole mystery beyond what we think and know in our heart sometimes.
Thank you. Any other thoughts, any other comments? Anyone want to share anything about their own parents or grandparents who might have come over and received help from an organization like HIAS or from others? As I said, welcoming the refugee, welcoming the stranger, showing compassion, trying to be empathetic can be a real challenge to people who are not like us at all, but Judaism says that that's our obligation. That's our moral mandate. And it's a very high bar, but it's one that, as Jews, we're not supposed to shy away from at all. So let's try to think about that this Shabbat and in our daily work in the year ahead until the next Refugee Shabbat. And hopefully the world will be in a better place. We can only pray. We're going to continue now with the Aleinu on page 586. And again, we can't open the Ark tonight, but we'll still face the Ark. So if you're able, please rise. Aleinu Shabbat Ladon Hakol Latet Gedula Liotzer Breshit Shelo Asanu Kegoye Haratzot Velo Samanu Kemishpechot Adama Shelo Sam Chelkenu Kahem V'gor aleinu kechol hamonam V'anachnu korim U'mishtachavim u'modim Lifnei melech Marchei hamlakim HaKadosh Baruch Hu V'ne'emar V'haya Adonai Lemelech al kol ha'aretz Bayom hahu Yeh Adonai echad U'shemo echad. Please be seated. I have the honor now of inviting board member Deborah Greenstein up front. Oh, you're right here. You're right here. Okay. You don't have to move that far to read some announcements for us tonight. And I will hold the mic for you because I think you're going to need your hands free.
That many?
Well, or you got it?
Okay. So let's see. 4:30 on Friday 3rd, which is tomorrow. Lifelong learning. I said tomorrow, didn't I? Did I? I thought I said tomorrow.
Let's set up a committee and talk about it.
Okay. Presents a special performance of the one-woman show Until Then by member Leslie Medine. Registration is required. Please use the online form via the calendar. Bunko is back in 2024 with the first gathering of Ladies' Night at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, February 7th. Rabbi Goldstein will be leading Torah studies Saturday, February 10th at 10:30 a.m. Sunday, February 11th, join Coffee and Chat with Board Secretary Judy Nystrom and Board Member Dave DeBrow in the foyer. Saturday, February 18th, both Junior Youth Group and Shakshuka Teens will have programming. Contact Mara to RSVP and with any questions. The CBS office and campus are closed for President's Day, February 19th. Don't miss the Soul Sister Book Club, February 20th at 11 a.m. to review the novel Shonda. The Your Right to Resilience Tribe will meet February 22nd at 3:30 p.m. If you have questions or are interested in more information, contact Catherine Goldman. We'd like to give warm wishes to this week's birthdays. Happy birthday to Itamar Abramovich, Mark Lombardi, Harriet Spitz, Elena Michalski, Cynthia Cohen, Richard Stein, Hal Milton, Aidan Schellen, Richard Pascan, and Connor Massey. And I want to put in a plug to save the date for Comedy Night, May 18th.
I want to also, once again, thank Shane for leading services with us for these last, I think, 3 weeks. Is Gordon back next Friday? But then hopefully you will also come back again later in the spring or in the summer or the fall, because I enjoyed leading services with you. Okay, good. Thank you. As we near the end of our service, our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. We remember those who have died during the past 12 months. Ann Rapson, Bob Massey, Lucille Posner, Bunny Goldstein, William Bill Lenish, Barbara Cosson, Minnie Shostak, Kevin McCarville, Etta Kessler, Faye Goldstein-Glick, Diana Coyne, Peggy Dooley, Eddie Feld, Frankie Block, Joyce Bisberg, Jake Goldstein, David Mendelson, Nancy Jeanette, Alexander Buddy Cohen, Berna Joseph Sherman, Rabbi Lori Phillips, and Pearl Shine. We also remember and honor the yahrzeits, the anniversaries of the deaths of Stephanie Rab Axner, Irving Novak, my grandmother and my dad's mother, Ethel Goldstein, Sylvia Solomon, Melville Marks, Etta Bloom Bongard, Florence Silverstein, Jack Gordon Cohen, Jean S. Tapper, Jack Cohen, and Edith Friedman. And if there is anyone who would like to add a name to our list, I invite you to please do so. The mourner's Kaddish is on page 598. Please rise. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, Bialmad divrach herete v'yamlik malchute, b'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, bagala uvizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevorach le'alam u'lamel maya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalel v'yitalal shmei dekudsha b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran ba'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shmaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imramav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all those in mourning and comfort to all those who are bereaved. And let us all say amen. Please be seated. Before we do the Kiddush and Motzi, and for our younger members, that means you guys are on deck, we're going to have a final song. So Shane, what are you going to close with?
We'll say Shalom. Oh, say Shalom b'imrava. Hu yaseh Shalom aleinu. V'al Yisrael v'imru, v'imru, amen. Oh, say Shalom b'imrava. Hu yaseh Shalom aleinu. V'al Yisrael v'imru, v'imru, amen. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, v'al kol Yisrael. V'al kol yoshvei Torah.
Let's all rise. And if you are under the age of 10, I would love for you to come up and join me in the front. Both you guys, you come up. And you're going to join us too? Yes. Where's Oliver going? Oh, okay. Yes. Oliver, why don't you hold the wine? And let's all say the Kiddush together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen. L'chaim. Oliver, I'll take it. He's holding on to dear life. Okay, who would like to hold the challah? That was quick. Why don't both you guys hold it? We'll have both you guys do it. Do it together. And in anticipation of our oneg, let's say the motzi together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. B'tei avon. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Thank you, guys. Could you bring that to the table out there?
Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat.